Good evening, everybody, and welcome to the Princeton Adult School class. We're doing Introduction to Google Drive, and I'm going to share my screen in just a moment. Where'd you go? There you are. So hopefully you are seeing my screen, and I will start the slide deck. There we go. There, so you should be seeing a full screen version of this slide deck. And so what we'll be doing is I've written this slide deck as a kind of a primer or a user guide. So you'll see screenshots with arrows and menu items and things like that. So hopefully you can use this as a reference once the class is over and you begin using Google Drive on your own. And at any point during the presentation, if we're going over some menu item or selection or function in Google Drive, and you can't accomplish this on your own, because remember, you're going to be practicing as we're going along, no problem. I'll halt the slide. I'll open up my Google Drive and show you a bit more actively what to do. So I certainly want to make sure that each of these features are a bit helpful. So what we'll do is I have a couple of introduction slides, and then we'll get into using the product. And just want to make sure that you've all been able to log in to your own Google or Gmail account. Gmail account, usually it's a Gmail ID is what your Google is. And you're on a browser. You may even be on your Gmail right now, which we're not going to use Gmail. But on the right side of your browser, and I'll show you that real fast, on the right side of the browser, in your Google Gmail, you have this kind of little circle with 9 dots, looks like a Rubik's Cube. And so you can click on that, and this is where the apps are, the Google apps. And one of your apps, your format may be a little different than mine, will be Drive. And if you click on that, your Google Drive will open. If you've used it before, you have folders and files like I do. And if you haven't, you don't have folders and files, but you will before the end of the evening. The other thing you can do also, the web address is drive.google.com. Your Gmail is mail.google.com, but Google Drive is drive.google.com. So that's the page you're going to want to be on, kind of your home page. It's called My Drive. And that's where we'll get started in just a minute. And if you are not there, or if you're stuck a little bit, just let me know. We'll give you a moment to get there. But we will get right back to the slide deck. So let's talk a little bit about what Google Drive is, a little bit of an introduction, and then we'll get into using the product as well. And for me, this is going to be a fun presentation because I've given this class before in person, and what I like about doing so in person, of course, is when there's a question, I can walk right around and look at the student's desk and help. So we don't really have that as easy. So we'll navigate our way through it, and we'll be fine. And if we have to slow down a little, no worries. And so just to introduce me, so I'm an information technology consultant. I do have my own business. It's called Princeton Technology Advisors. I'm based in Princeton, New Jersey. I was in corporate technology, I was in corporate American technology for about 30 years. In 2014, I started my own independent consulting business. We do a lot of things. My clients tend to be small business and not-for-profit organizations, and we do website work and some managed services. We help with some of their projects, and I also do teaching and training as well. And I'm a blogger. I like writing about tech topics, and one thing about my tech writing is I write for the layperson, not for the heavy-duty tech person. So if you do have a chance to go to my website over the next day or week or so and look at some of the topics, you'll see they're actually easy reads if you're not a tech person. If you're a tech person, you might be a little basic for you. But my goal is to provide information to people who are not tech people because they're busy doing their own stuff, and I can help them with technology. So among the things that we will cover today are, well, we'll define or describe just what Google Drive is. And hopefully when we're done today, you'll realize that this is not a difficult tool at all. It's certainly not one of the most difficult ones I've ever used. We'll talk about some of the basic vocabulary just so that it's part of your vernacular. And also we'll show you the interface, basically how the program works in the browser, because you'll always access Google Drive at least the context that we'll be talking about it, you always access it from the browser. And we'll do some basic file and folder operations. So you'll get comfortable with the navigation and uploading and downloading and creating files. So that kind of thing. And go on. And we'll also talk about how you can search for files and folders and how you can share them with other people if that's something that you want to do. So those are things that are all functions that are available. And also what Google Drive has, which is a nice feature, is called version control, which is something your typical PC doesn't have without a special program. In other words, you can have, you could have made updates to a file. You want to keep the old one around for like posterity purposes, but you only want people to have access to the current one. And so the old ones are called versions. And so you'll be able to keep those and manage those as well. And so those are the things that we will be talking about. Okay? Some of the things we won't get into much detail at all today are some of the other Google tools. It may come up a little bit on the tangent, but we're not going to get into how to use Google Sheets or Google Docs or Google Slides or those sorts of things. You'll see there it's accessible here, but that would have to be another course to go over those. If you got a question I can answer about those, I'll be happy, but not really training on those. There we go. So what is Google Drive? And Google Drive, well, it's a program. It's an online program. Some people call it an app. And you can store any type of file basically in the Google's, they call it a cloud, but in Google's program. It could be any file format. So it could be photos or documents or drawings or videos, audio, music. Almost anything can be stored in Google Drive. And one reason why you may want to store it in Google Drive is maybe so it doesn't take up space on your own computer, or you want to copy on your someplace else other than your own computer, or it's an easy way to share with someone else because it's in the internet, essentially, and I'm oversimplifying where it is. You can access your files from anywhere. So let's say you had a file on your PC computer or your Mac, and then you uploaded it to Google Drive, and then you went out somewhere. Maybe you were out on the town shopping, maybe you went on vacation, and all of a sudden you realize you need access to a file. As long as you have a computer, even one of those kiosk computers at a hotel or a library computer, log into your Google account and you can access that file. Or if your smartphone is connected to Google, or your tablet in addition to your desktop computer, anything that can log into your Google account will be able to access that file, so you always have access to it. In my case, I have my files accessible to me on my desktop that I'm using here, my laptop that I take to my clients. I can even access on my phone. So I like having that access. You get to share files, you get to share folders. Folders are objects that contain files, and they also contain other folders. You can upload and download, so you can invite others to access those files as well. And a Google account will give you 15 gigabytes of storage completely free. And for a lot of people, that's a good number, an easy number. 15 gig is a lot. It may not be as much as the hard drive on your computer. You may not want to keep everything on there. And then, but 15 gig of the other services, Microsoft also has a good service called OneDrive. They give you less, I think it's 5 gigabytes for free. Dropbox is also less for free. So Google gives you a lot for free. And you can upgrade if you need more. Starting with 100 gigabyte all the way up to 30 terabytes, which is a tremendous amount of data. And so the starting price is $19.99 a year. So it's not a lot of money if you need extra storage for that 100 gigabytes. And typically right on the Google Drive screen, there's a button to upgrade, and you would press that, put in your credit card, and they'll bill you every year. So some of the basic vocabulary, and if you use computers pretty regularly, this may sound a little overly basic, but just to level set all of us. Upload. And what upload means is you're taking computer off your computer and you're sending it up to a place on the internet. Going up into the cloud. Cloud is also another word for the internet. So that's what upload. Download is the reverse. It's a file maybe in your Google Drive and you want to bring it down to your computer. You want to send it up to the Google Drive, you send it down to your computer. So that's what download means. Share basically means allow others to either see or even edit the files if you give them the permission to do so, the files that are on your Google Drive. And files and folders. So files store your data, store your information. You could be text, it could be a document, it could be pictures or video. Folders store files, or they store other folders. Sometimes when there's a folder in a folder, it's called a subfolder. So it's a storage mechanism. The term comes really from file cabinets. In a file cabinet, you have folders, you know, the manila folders or whatever color. And in that, you put your documents or your files. And then you could also put, if you've got one of those big folder doc things, you could put individual folders, each that have their own files. So it kind of came from that description of a file cabinet. And this is an electronic file cabinet in its own way. And versions or versioning is a means of keeping the old instances of the file, even though the current one is the one that's most active and visible right now, but you still can see and access. Typically on a Windows or a Mac computer, when you update a document, you don't get the old version. There's ways to do it, but it's not automatic. But if you upload files to a Google Drive and then upload again the same one because you made an update, it will keep the old one for you. So that could be handy if you ever have to go back to an old document. You may have had the thing where you said, gee, I wish I had what I wrote the last time. Well, it'll be there. Okay. And sync or synchronization. And this is when Google Drive will automatically duplicate the files between the drive that's up in the internet and the one that's on your computer. Now, Google does have a free program. You can download it called Sync and Backup. So you do have to install it on your computer. There's a version for Apple, there's a version for Windows, and a version for Android. And basically what will happen, if you're familiar with your file folder on your computer right now, it will create a new folder called Google Drive, and it will mirror the files that are in your cloud account, in your online account. We're not going into it any further today. We're not going into how to sync and set it up and configure it. It's not hard to do. The program does that for you, but you know that's a separate process. So that way, the files on your computer and Google will be updated simultaneously. If you make an update to the same file in your computer, Google will send it up to the drive. If you go online to the drive and make an update, Google will send it down to your computer. And so this is what the Google Drive homepage looks like. And hopefully you have this up now on another window, maybe on your computer, your monitor. You got two windows side by side, a Google window and the GoToMeeting window while we have this presentation, or toggle back and forth. And so there are a couple of things that you should just know about that. One is the section called My Drive. It's right on the top where that red arrow is, and you'll see in a moment it's on the folder section on the left. And this is your access to where all your files and folders are located. And what Google does is Google stores your files and your folders in a hierarchy. So the main one for you is called My Drive. Everyone has their own My Drive. Your My Drive will look different than my Drive. I'm sorry for the redundancy there. But what you have under your My Drive are folders and then files. And then if you click on a folder, and we'll get into that in a moment, you can have in that folder, folders and files. And if there are folders there, you can click on that and have folders and files. So it's a hierarchy. And I'll show you how to search this in a few minutes. You also have this new button, and the new button allows you to create or upload new files or create and upload new folders. So if you have a folder or a file that's on your PC now, and you want to send it and upload it to your Google Drive, you can do it right there with that new button. We'll get into that in a moment. The search window right at the top, it's almost like a regular Google search, but you see it says there Search Drive. So if you have a folder or a file with a name, but you're not really sure where it is because you have a lot of them, you could just put one or more of the words of the name and it will find it for you. We'll get into that in a little bit. And then like I showed you before, there's that apps tray, all the different Google apps that are available to you. And there's many that are available. We're not going into any others today. We're not going to cover any others today. And you also have the main menu for Google Drive on the left side of the screen. It does have a My Drive again, so that just helps you. You can click there or on the top. Again, it's where your files and folders are. Google stores that in a hierarchy. This one's kind of interesting. Share with me. If somebody else has a Google Drive and they shared any folders or files with you, then accessing them will be in that share with me. You would click on that share with me, and folders and files that you have access to, and they're not in your My Drive, they're in somebody else's, but because you can either view them or edit them, they'll all be in that folder right there. So that's nice and handy for searching for the files that other people have shared with you, and they would have the same thing. Recent, you click on there to see the last couple that you looked at. And it's also, so it's available if there's a file or a folder that you access pretty regularly, it'll show up there. And trash, one thing kind of nice in Google Drive is if you delete a file, it'll go out of your folder, but it'll go in this trash folder. And I'll show you how to access that again also in a few minutes. And in order for you to permanently delete it, you'll go into the trash folder and then you can permanently delete it. So if you accidentally hit the delete button, that's where you'll find anything that you accidentally deleted. That's a very handy feature. Some of you, if you're Windows people, you may be familiar with the recycle bin. The recycle bin is like a special folder on your computer that holds everything you deleted. And this is kind of the same thing. And you can recover from there too. You can bring it back. Okay. So far, so good. Any questions? Okay. So as you go through the file list, they have this at the top called suggested, and actually cheated a little bit. You can see on this screen, it's called quick access. Google has made a couple of minor changes to their drive, and not all of my screenshots are updated, but now they call it suggested. It's basically your recents. That's basically what it is. And you can see there's one there, one of my social media strategy program, and it says I opened it yesterday. Well, that one I opened weeks ago. And so you can see that some of the recent ones are going to be right there. Okay, so that's in the suggested. So some useful files or recently opened files. You also have a file list, and that's all up and down there on the right side. And those are all the files and all the folders within your current folder. Your current folder is right at the top. It says My Drive. So at the top of the My Drive, in the My Drive folder, the next level in the hierarchy, I have a folder called Public, and I granted access basically to everybody. And then I've got a folder called Info at Princeton Tech Advisors. And then below that, doesn't have a folder icon, little squares. So those are different file types, files. So that's what's there. And then also view. You can see, you can change your view, and that's that little squares that are on the right side. You may toggle back and forth again between your vision of Google Drive and what you see here. And so right now we're in list view. There's a list of files. What grid view shows, they don't have an image of it here. It's basically thumbnails, just like under this suggested area. You'll see little squares of each file. So some people like to work visually and see the squares, the icons. Some people like to see the list. And so that just toggles back and forth between those two views. And then next to that are the details. And so what you do is you click on any folder or any file, and you click on that circle with the I guess the I means information, and you can see details about it, when it was saved, how big it is, all sorts of information about it. And that opens up on the right side as a separate window. So you get a lot of information about the files and folders, the details of any individual. And this is a new slide I added. As I mentioned a moment ago, Google has made some minor updates to the program, and I have not updated all the screenshots yet. So on the left side, as we click on any file or any folder and get a pop-up menu, the old pop-up menu and what's in this presentation, most of this presentation, is the one on the left. And the one on the right is the way it is right now. So if we go through the product together, as we will in a few minutes, and you see it says in the screen, my screen, get shareable link, but in yours it might say get link. That's on the right side. That's what the difference is. So the red lines are just showing you what the difference is. They did add 3 new features that are available for files and folders. One is called Show File Location. We will go over that today. Add a shortcut to Google Drive. We're not going to go in, and available offline, a little bit, about 2/3 of the way down. We're also not going to go over that in great detail today. But all the other things on the left side, that's what we're going to go over today. So you'll get a very thorough overview of Google Drive. Okay. And so some of those file menu operations, preview. What you do is you click on a file, and if you see on the picture on the right side, there's a file that has like a blue background. It says digital marketing. You make out some of it. If you click the preview, you right-click on the file to get the menu to pop up. You always right-click on the folder or the file, and the little pop-up menu will pop up. Preview will show you what the contents of the file look like. You won't be able to operate and edit it, but you'll be able to see. So if you look at this file and go, what is this file? Click on it, it'll show you a preview of the file. Open with. Google Drive typically knows what program should use to open the file. So it will typically know maybe Adobe, or your browser should open a PDF file. But if it's a new file and it doesn't know, you click Open With, and then you get to pick the file program to open that file. Windows and Apple work very much the same way. Share is a way for you to grant access to that file or that folder. You can make it completely public so people can see everything within it, or you can make it completely editable so someone else could make edits to it the way you can. Maybe you're going to be working together with someone, and so you initiate that with the share menu item. Get shareable link. Now that you've shared a file, the shareable link is the link that people will use to access the file. Every web page, every website, every document that's available through your browser on the internet has a unique link or unique web address. So it's the same with every file stored in your Google Drive. So this will give you the specific exact link for the folder or file that you're sharing. Move to is basically a way to copy or move the file from one folder to another folder. So maybe as you're working through Google Drive, the same that you would with your own file folder, you might reorganize your Google Drive. Maybe you'll have a new folder and you'll move some of the files from one folder into that one. So what you do is you right-click again on the file or folder of interest. This menu will pop up and you pick the Move To, and it'll guide you to moving it to another folder. We'll be going over that. Adding a star just really puts a little star icon next to it, and sometimes that will indicate something important to you. So it's just an added feature. You can rename a file. You can decide that the file that got uploaded really should have a different name or more specific name. And this is where you do that. And you click on this menu item and it will guide you through the renaming process. A little window will open up and you'll change the file name. And we'll be going over that as we will be going through managing versions. So if you have a file, like I have a file for this presentation, it is on my Google Drive. And this is my 2022 version, but if I upload it, update it a little bit later in the year, I can upload it in the same space, and I'll have the old version kind of hidden, but accessible to me, but everyone else that I've shared it with will only have the new version. The reason why that's better than keeping separate files with separate names is when it's a shareable file. Let's say I decide, as I have done, to share this with you. You will have a link at the end of this meeting to get to this folder. And then I realize, oh, I have to make an update right now. By having versions, it does not change the link. It just changes the content of the file, keeping the old version. The alternative would be I'd have to upload a new file and give you a new link. And so that would be a little bit more complicated if you mix up the emails with the links and all that kind of stuff. So this way, all the versions of the file use the same link, but only the most recent one is displayed. If you want to make a copy, because you're going to use the file as a foundation for your next version of the file, you can do that. It's a physically separate file. And so if the name of your program was called Google Drive presentation, it would actually be called copy of Google Drive presentation. So you can have a physically separate, that's separate from versions. Versions, they're all under the same file name. Copy is physically separate. Download, you click on that file, so there's a blue highlighted file, digital marketing, and then click the download button, and you can download it to the folder of your choice on your PC. And remove is the delete function. You decide you no longer want that. And so delete it, comes out of your drive. It will go in the trash folder, so if you deleted it by mistake. And so you could always recover it if you need to. Again, we'll show you that a little bit later. Okay, so that's kind of the overview or introduction before we get into the product itself. And now really for the rest of the program, we're going to work with the Google Drive. So are there any questions? Let's see, Ellen has a question in chat. Is there a meeting ID or room number? I downloaded GoToMeeting on my phone and is asking for that information. Yes, it's in the email that I sent you. The email that I sent the last day or two has a 9-digit code. So you can either use your phone, access email on your phone and click on the link, or get the link that's in your email. It's a 9-digit link with dashes in between, and that's the ID. So if you want to watch on your phone and on your computer, that's the way you connect a separate time. So hopefully that's helpful, Ellen. Okay. Any other questions before we start moving forward? Hopefully you all have your Google Drive open on a browser window. And I will say no news is good news. Okay, good. Let's keep moving. And yeah, I'm a space shuttle guy. I'm a little sad there's no space shuttle, but it was running for 20 years, so time to retire the fleet. Okay. So you may want to also follow along on your Google Drive, but if you want to create a new folder, this is the way you do it. You go right back to your home page, your My Drive, okay? And you click the button on the left, New. You might try it right now as we're going along. And when you click on the New, you'll have an option to pick Folder or File Upload or Folder Upload. And you see there's also options for Google Docs, Sheets, and Slides. So let's say you have a folder on your own computer right now. Maybe you have a folder that contains all of your word processing files and you want to put them in your Google Drive. Or maybe you have a folder on your computer of your client files and you want to put them on your Google Drive to save them there. This is the option that you do. You click that, and what you'll see when you click that is a window will then pop open. I don't think I have the window here. Nope. Do I? Don't. No. The window will pop up, whether it's the Mac, the Apple version of the window or the PC version of the window, where you can search and find the folder on your computer, and you click on it and you press the OK button. Okay. So if you want, go ahead and do that, or at least see and search for your folders. Okay. Hopefully you're navigating that and that's working okay for you. And let's see. Bandana has a question. Do I have all the options on my phone also? Well, Google Drive, I'm assuming options, actually I don't know. Is it Google Drive or GoToMeeting? Bandana?
Google Drive.
So Google Drive, you're actually best off installing the Google Drive app, and that will give you essentially all the same functions, but the screen is going to look different than here because we're using the Windows version of the screen.
Okay.
Yep. Typically with Google, if you use Google through a browser, it's going to want to try and use the app or encourage you to load it. So you might, it's free, just download it through the Play Store. Okay. Is this something that you're doing, or if you're comfortable with the folder concept of uploading? I only see a few of your faces. I'm not seeing, there's a thumbs up or two, that's good.
Hey, when you go to My Drive, right?
Yep.
And then you go to New Folder. Yours says folder, right?
Yeah, does it say new folder now?
It says New Folder.
It's probably the same thing. Actually, let's quickly look. I will exit this.
I'm on a Mac.
It does say new folder. Yeah, so like I said with that prior screen, Google has made a couple of updates in the past year, and my screenshots on this aren't exactly up to date, but it's the same thing.
Okay.
And you can see, yep, when I click on it, it's looking for the new folder, but that's actually not what we were doing. I'm sorry, that's what we're doing. So you can create a new folder.
Just create anything?
Sure. So I called one My Class Folder. And by the way, all you then do is double click on the folder and you are now in that folder. And the way you know that, you look at the navigation on the top, it says My Drive, and then it says My Class Folder. And then if you do the new folder there, you'll put it in the My Class folder. If you want to put another folder in My Drive, you just click on My Drive to go back.
Okay.
Remember, it's a hierarchy. Yep.
Okay.
So yeah, I apologize. I realize there are some minor, this is funny, this says folder. Now it says folder, it doesn't say new folder. Okay, but it's the same thing.
Okay.
Not sure why it switches between them. Okay. The next is you can upload a folder, right? And it basically works the same way. So by uploading the folder, new folder upload, and then you can look on your computer for your folders. So if I go to meeting, and here's a folder, and I would click on it, and there's an upload button. Now this is my Windows. This is not Google Drive. Google Drive is talking to my Windows, and if you have an Apple, it's talking to your Mac. I'm not going to press the upload button, but if I did, what it would do, in my drive, it would create a new folder. This little kind of blackish colored tab is a folder. It would create a new folder, plus all the files would come with it because I'm uploading the folder. Now, if you have a lot of stuff in the folder, it may take a few minutes to upload. If you have only a few things in the folder, it'll be created a little bit more quickly. And usually in the bottom right corner of the screen, there's a little clock that kind of spins, and it kind of guesstimates based on your internet speed how long it's going to take. So it might take a minute or more, might take 10 minutes, depending on how much you have. Big files take more than little files. And similar to uploading a folder, you can upload a file. So there's upload here, my Google Drive, upload to Google Drive. And I would click on that, press, it's saying open, not upload. That's a Windows thing. I'm going to cancel again. And then it will place, not in the folder that's highlighted, but in your folder right up here. This is the folder you're in. These are folders and files that exist in your My Drive. So you're always putting it in the folder that's in your navigation page up here. So I'd be uploading the file. See? So there it's looking at my download folder. It's for uploading a folder. And this would be for a file upload. And it's looking in my downloads folder to find a file. So it's Google Drive, but it's talking to your computer. So the way your computer opens and searches is the way that Google will take advantage of. So you're at least a little bit comfortable. It will kind of work the same way. All good about uploading folders or creating folders? Mm-hmm. Now, if you want to create a file, the types of files that you create are Google files. So there's Google Docs. That's the equivalent of like Microsoft Word or Apple Pages. Google Sheets is like Excel. Google Slides is like PowerPoint. You don't create a Word document or another product's document in Google Drive. You create them offline and you upload them. So you would create, let's say, a Word file on your computer, and then you would do a file upload to get it into your Google Drive. If you want to then make an edit to it later, you download it to your computer, change the file, and either upload it or upload the version. Okay? But if you are using Google Docs and Sheets, it's a free product that's available. You can create the files right there because Google does talk to Google very nicely. Now,
Can I ask you a question?
Yep.
If I want to upload from my computer to a different, like my computer to a laptop,
Yep.
but they're different accounts, what account do I have? Do I have to be in the account that I want to upload from?
So you upload to, and you would have to log into the account that you want to upload to.
So I'd have to be in that Google Drive.
Yes. Now in
Okay.
Google, what you can do in Google is you can log into 2 accounts at the same time. And on the right side of the screen, you can
Right, I
tell it.
do have both accounts there so that you can be logged into both at the same time?
Yes, but you can only be working on one at a time.
Right, okay.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
I can show you that. Let's see. Where do I have that going? I keep a lot of browsers. So I've got all these different accounts. Okay. So even though I'm logged into this account,
Right.
now I just switched. So it is logged on. So this is another account.
Okay, so I did that too. So it's logged on even though it's not up there. Okay.
But you're only working on one at a time.
Okay,
And
so but I have to be in the one that I want to upload from to a different one.
Upload to.
Okay.
If you're uploading, it's going to. You're downloading from.
Right.
If you want to put files from one account to the other, you'll have to go to the one you want to download from, put those on your computer, click to the other account, and upload it to that one.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Right?
Gotcha.
You know, in one sense, it's not much different than you said, I'm putting it on a flash drive and then I'm moving it over. You know, it's kind
Exactly.
of the digital
Yeah.
equivalent of that.
Okay.
Yep. So you can only work kind of on one account at a time.
Right.
You could have separate browsers open and do them. But
Right.
you can't.
Go back and forth. Yeah.
Not to overcomplicate it, there's not an easy way between accounts.
Okay.
There's a way to do it with shared. I just don't want to get into that today. That's not introduction stuff.
I mean, I've shared on Google Drive to people from in the same thing. I've shared a lot of documents, but I know what that is. Okay.
Good. Yeah, we're going to talk about that.
Okay.
So, yep. So getting back to our presentation. So what you'll do is to navigate, you start out in your My Drive, but any folder that you want to go into, you just click on. Not much different than what you would do in Windows or on your Mac. And so you double click or you click on that folder, and then that folder will open. So I clicked on Documents, and then in my navigation pane, it now tells me in my drive, I'm in the Documents folder. And in the Documents folder are these files, images, MS Surface, MS PowerPoint, you know, all these other things, and a file called Access. Okay. And you can double click on any folder to go deeper through the hierarchy, step through the hierarchy. Okay. So yeah, I'm basically gonna take the point of view. I'm gonna move along. Anytime you have a question, just let me know. I don't want to go too fast. I want to make sure that this is all clear. And again, this slide deck is kind of like a guide, so you know it should flow fairly easily. Now, let's say you want to download a file or download a folder. So and download is coming from Google Drive, what's in Google Drive, and bringing it to your computer. So that's what download is. And so what you do, you right-click on the file or you right-click on the folder. And then this menu pops up again. Remember, the menu has changed a little bit, but this is basically the same. And then you click the download option. Now, if you right-click and download a folder, you'll get the folder and all the files and folders in it in the location on your computer that you're selecting. So it's going to say, where do you want to put it? So you can save, which is in your current computer. So it's going to be on your PC's folder, or save as allows you to change the name or the location. This is regular, like copy, paste, and saving files. So if you were in an Excel spreadsheet or a Word document and you did a file save as, it kind of works the same way. This sort of screen, this little screen here about where to put it. You can either save it right where it is on your computer or save as and pick another location. And go ahead, click on the folder you just created, or if you have one, and if you want to see what that looks like. It is possible that this window looks just a little bit different now, depending if Google updated the look and feel a little bit, but it's basically going to work the same way. So far so good. You can also copy a file, and you can make a copy of a file or copy a folder as well, which will do all the contents of the folder. What it'll do, it'll create a new folder with the name copy of my documents, and it'll copy all the contents, so it'll be completely duplicated. And copying becomes handy if you want to use one file, let's say, as the basis of creating a new file that's similar. I like to do copy when I make contracts for my clients. A lot of my contracts, especially the legal stuff, is all the same, but some of the specific terms are a little different. So I make a copy and then I edit the new version. It's not versioning. Versioning is copy of the same file to be used over and over. This makes an independent copy with its own separate web address, its own separate link. Okay. And there it created a copy of the file. So you see there's the file called 2018-09 AITP September meeting, and then above it is the copy of the file. They are both going to be the same type of file. If they're a Word document, they'll be a copy of a Word document. If it's a Google Doc, it'll be a copy of a Google Doc. That one happens to be a Google Doc. And if you have a file in your Google Drive right now, you want to try it, go ahead. Oops, let me just adjust my shades here. I've got a kind of a Venetian blind, even though it's shut, but the sun is coming through and kind of blinding me. So just trying to block that a little bit. Okay. So is this clear about making a copy? It's a duplicate with its own link. Versions use the same link. And if you're going ahead and doing that, that's fine. Or is it okay to move on? I can move on. Let's see. You can also delete a file, or you can delete a folder. And again, you pick the one of interest and you right click, your mouse. If you're left-handed, I guess you're left clicking, depending on how your mouse is set up, but its traditional term is called right click. And so you click, and then you click on the remove the file, the remove button. Okay. And then what it does, it puts it into the trash folder. It'll give you a message, it removed the file. And by the way, you can also highlight multiple files and do this. Now, if you immediately made a mistake or realize you made a mistake, look at the icon, the message on the bottom left. It gives you an undo option. You can undo that last option right now. So if you accidentally deleted the wrong file or removed the wrong file, then what you can do is quickly just undo it. It'll pop right back in the folder it started from. Or on the left side, in the file menu, you could just click on trash and open up the trash folder and go access the file. Okay.
Where's the undo button? I'm sorry.
So if you're looking at my screen right now, and
Oh,
you
I
see,
just saw it.
yep. So what I did to get that was I right clicked on the file, the 2018-09, right clicked on it. And then when the menu popped up, I pressed the remove. So here you can see the copy of, pressed remove. Then the file went away but the bottom left, it said it removed one file, and it says right next to it, undo. And if I click undo, it'll put it right back. Now, we're going to be doing something with trash a little later, but if you realized the next day that you deleted something accidentally, you can go into the trash folder and you could undelete it there. And looks like Tom had a question.
Yeah, under my drive, it has suggestions, and then there are just tons and tons and tons of files. What's that about?
It has tons of files under suggestions.
Yeah.
I only have a few files on mine. Let's see what mine looks like. Suggested. So you're saying right here, you have tons of files?
Yeah,
They go across or they go up and down?
they go up and down.
Or you're talking about these things down here, name, owner, this section?
I'm sorry, if I go to my drive.
Okay, so I went to my drive. Yep.
It says suggestions,
Right.
or suggested, and then it just has lots and lots of files.
I'm not seeing in my mind's eye what you're seeing. If you'd like, you can share your screen. I can see it. Would that be okay?
Yeah.
Okay, so I've just made
Sure,
you
please.
presenter, and you should have now the ability to share your entire screen. Okay,
Right.
so I see, now where are your suggestions? Okay, I see.
Here?
Yeah, you only have one suggestion, that one.
Mhm.
Below it, that's your My Drive. That's what's in your My Drive.
But what is that suggested document?
Those are kind of like the ones you most recently used.
Uh-huh, exactly. Okay.
So really,
Okay.
Tom, I see the visual confusion, but it's really meant to mean that scrolling file folder that you have is not all your suggestions, only that one that's above the word name that you scroll all the way to the top. There it
Yeah, I
is.
got it.
That's
got
the
it.
one that's really the suggested one.
Okay, thank you.
Yep, no worries.
Yeah, you can unshare.
Yep, I just took it back from you. Good. Yeah, so very good. Good. So we talked about deleting. Okay. And in the trash folder, so if you deleted a file that you did not want to delete, so this was one you deleted, but if you realize later or the next day, so that undo button has already long disappeared, what you could do is you can go into your trash folder by clicking on the left. You've got your file list, your folder list here, function list here. Click on that, and now it doesn't say My Drive, it says Trash from My Drive along the top. So this is everything. When I created this picture, this is everything that was in my trash. And so you right click on that, and this window pops up, this little option to restore. And that's how you recover anything that you've deleted. It will go right back in the folder it originated from. Now, you have up to 30 days. Google will delete something up to after 30 days. There is an option to override that. It's a setting. We're not going into settings in this class. Settings are, oops, not there, is this kind of gear, this little gear to the right of, to the left of your picture or to the right of your search and drive. And in there, you can find a setting to change how long, but they'll delete automatically. The reason why is you don't want to use up the space. If you have 15 gig of free space, you delete something, it's still in your trash folder, taking up space until it's deleted. But you have 30 days. Or you can delete forever. So you can just say, yeah, get it out right now. It's a big file. I just want to get it out. I want to recover as much space as you have. And Google will tell you on the left, if you can see my arrow here, how much storage. So at this point, I had 100 gig. This account that I have is one of the $20 a year accounts. So I have extra storage. At this point, I had 27.87 gigs, so I was approaching the free 30 gig. So the free, or exceeded the free 15 gig. At the time, it used to be 30. So yeah, so you can always manage your storage. And if you want to upgrade, just press the buy storage or upgrade button. But this is how you recover from a deleted file. Now, let's say you have a folder or a file and you do want to change the name. You just don't like the name, or maybe you have two of them with the same name and it's confusing, because Google Drive will allow you to keep files with the same name. So what you do is you right-click on the file of interest, and you can see it's kind of blue highlighted here. The menu will pop up, and then your rename menu option will be there. So if you can rename a folder, or you can rename a file. It's not moving it, it's not putting it anywhere else, it's leaving it in the folder that you're in, but it allows you to change the name. And so it'll look like this. It'll pop up a little window, and it'll give you the opportunity to change the name. It will not allow you to change the extension. See the docx there? Docx tells Google that this is a Word document. So you can't change that here. You have to change that with whatever tool you're using, you know, so if you want it to be in Pages or something else, do it there. But you can change the primary portion of the name, but you can't change the file type. Seems to make sense. So I see some of your faces, and you seem attentive but not quizzical. If I see quizzical, I stop and ask questions some more. So hopefully this is clear to you. And you know, you might already be associating some of this to how you're using your PC. So you might use, if you're on Windows, Windows Explorer. On the Mac, you have tool as well, a file folder tool as well. And really, you can do all the same things. It's just this is a different location. This is in Google rather than in your computer. So hopefully you're making that association. So now that you have some folders and files on your computer, you may, if you're working with someone else, want to share them. Or you may want to share some to the public. For instance, in a few minutes when we end, or in an hour or so when we end this presentation, I'm going to show you where you can download this presentation slide deck. And essentially, I have it in a Google Drive, and I'm sharing it to the public. Sorry about that. So what you do is you pick the folder or the file of interest. Again, here I'm in my Drive. There's this speaker roster that I have. You right-click on it, the menu pops up, and there's the Share menu item. And you click on that. So you first pick the file, and then you pick the function that you want, in this case, Share. And now what happens is you share it a couple of ways. You can share it with only specific people. You can enter their name, or you can enter their email address. Now, share by name only works if the person by name is in your Google contacts. For instance, if I'm not in your Google contacts, it wouldn't surprise me that I'm not, and you put my name, it's not going to know really who to share it with. In that case, you're better off using my email address. And then Google, after you put the email address or the name that you have in your Google contacts, and you could choose make them an editor, or they can just comment, or they can just view or see it, and then click done. Google Drive will send them an email and say, David has offered to share a document with you. So that's one way to do it. Okay. Are you seeing share as an option on your screen as well? See a couple of head nods. Okay. And if I click ahead too fast, or if you're stuck, again, please just unmute and let me know, because I want to make sure that it's clear. And there are some advanced options that you can do. And so these are the share settings. You can pick the person or the people. You can make an edit to any one of them. So you can make, let's say, Adrian an editor, and you can make the Hack, my friend Bob Hacker, you can make him a viewer only. So it's not the same function to all people, and click done when you're done. So this has a little drop-down menu. Bandana, let's see. Can I edit my documents? Oops, I missed that. Can I edit my documents and save them while on Google Drive? So you can only edit Google documents, not documents like Word and Excel or tools that are not Google. So you can edit your Google Docs, your Google Sheets, and those are the ones you can edit right from Google Drive. If you want to edit a Word document that's in Google Drive, I suggest what you do is you download the Word document to your computer, you have your Word program on your computer, make the change, and then you either upload it as a new version or upload it as a new file. Was that clear, Vandana?
Thank you. Yes, thank you.
Okay, good, good. Yeah, because within Google Drive are not those other programs, but the Google programs like Google Docs is accessible. Yep. Okay. And this one, this is like Share, but a little different. So in Share, what will happen is Google Drive will send this link to the person. It will say, David has shared this file with you, and give you a means to access it. Let's say you have a file that you want to make accessible to just everybody, maybe through the internet. And that's the way you're actually going to access this document from me, and I'll show you later where to get it. So what you want is you want the link for the document. And you don't want to pick individual people, but you want to take the link and maybe put it on your website as a menu item, or maybe as a link on your web page or a link in a Word document. Right? You've probably seen Word documents with links or websites that have text and links on them. And so all you want is the link. You're not sharing it with specific people. You want to give someone the link so they can access it. So this is what you do. You right click on the document, on the file or the folder. This menu item pops up and you pick Get Shareable Link. Okay. And then what happens is a little window pops up and it gives you the link. It gives you a long link because that's what Google has, these long links. And the button on the right of the link, copy the link, that does the copy paste, the copy portion of copy paste. So it'll be in your ability to copy it. And then go to your website or go to your document on Word or your email, wherever you're going to paste it, and then paste it there. So this is a way for you to copy the link. And then when you're done, hit the done button. Now there are some advanced options under restricted, so you can limit it to certain people. We're really not getting into that here because you can do that from the shared link that we did a moment ago, the share function, where you can assign it to specific people. It kind of works the same way, just a little bit different. But this becomes nice and easy. So if you have a menu item, or if you have a link that you want to put in an email and send it to someone, you know, dear David, here's my file, paste the link, and then I can just copy it. And generally it's a read only, but you can make it editable as well. Okay. Okay, we'll get into versions in just a moment. So far, so good? All in favor? Good. Okay, good. Couple thumbs up. Good. Managing versions. So versions are really instances, new instances of the same file. It's not a copy the same way, which is a physically separate file with a separate link. You access the most current instance of the file. You can have 2 or 3 or 4, or however many you want, and allows you to, for posterity, keep the old versions all there too. Now, the Google tools like Google Docs, Google Sheets, you can't keep versions there. It just doesn't support it. But if you have a PDF or a Word or Excel sheet, you can keep the latest version right here. So it's a nice feature to have, because if you ever thought, gee, if I really wish I had the content I had before I changed that page. And if you didn't save it separately, you can just get it right here from your Google Drive. So it's a separate instance of the same file. It's accessible with the same link. So if you shared the link with someone, like we did a moment ago of getting the link, that link doesn't change no matter how many versions you have, but the link will only access the most current one. The other ones will only be accessible to you for posterity or as a reference. And so you right click and the Manage Versions comes up. And what this allows you to do is now upload a new version of the file. So if you have on your PC, you edited the file similar to the question that Vandana had a moment ago. She downloads the file, makes some changes, and now uploads it right back as a new version. And you can kind of see behind, there are several versions here. One says current version. The one before it says version 4, version 3, right? So version 2, so I've got, this is my 5th version. And the link that we created from here will only access that 5th and most recent version. Okay. So you search for the file, upload it, and it will go right here accessible. Is that unclear? Anybody have a question about versions and how they're different than copy?
Yeah, how did you get to versions?
Okay.
today?
So again, you pick the file that you want. So let's say similar to Vandana, she'll say, I want to take this file, make a change, and then upload another version of it. So you would have to download it first. Or maybe you have a copy on your PC already. And then you right click on it, so the menu pops up. And all these other things we've talked about already in the menu. This one is called Manage Versions. So you click that one where the red arrow is. And then this window pops up. The ability to manage versions, click the Upload New Version, and your Windows, or in your case, your Mac file folder will open, and you go find the file and upload it. Click the Open button or whatever on your PC has, and it will make a new version. So you'll have a new version called Current, and your current one will be called version 5. You can see behind it, there are these other versions.
Mhm.
Is that clear now?
I think so.
What's unclear?
I guess I have to go into the folder and pick a document first, right?
Yeah, you always have to pick a folder or a file or a folder that you want to perform an action. Yep.
Yeah. And then I download it.
Well, if you need to make a change, you can download it, right? So we did download a few minutes ago, but it's this option, 2 options below Manage Version is download. Yeah, so you could download it, or you already have a new version on your PC or in your Mac. You may have it there already.
Okay.
Either way, it's not a requirement to download it. I was just using that as an example. You may already have your latest version that you worked on for the last day or so. It may already be on your PC, and you just want to now upload it to your Google Drive as a new version.
Okay. Got it.
Right.
Got it.
So, something may be, maybe there's something you update annually, and it's time to put the 2022 version. So you might have it on your PC, make some changes, and then you'll upload the version through this Manage Versions.
Got it.
And then you pick the file, you press Upload New Version, pick a file, and it will be available through the same link that the last one was. Doesn't change the link.
Okay.
If you need physically a separate file because you do separate the 2019 from the 2020, from the 2021 versions of files, then have separate files and maybe put a date on the file name or something like that. So it is physically separate if you need to keep them separate. But yeah, if you have a version of a file, if you have a file that's on Google Drive and there's a mistake that you want to correct, you might just want to use a version, not a new file.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay, that's clear now?
Yeah.
Okay. Any other questions? Okay. And as you can see, there are screenshots here. As you go up and down, there are screenshots. So I'm hoping that if you download this, you can use it as a bit of a user guide. You come back to it. Okay, so another question. Yeah, so Bandana noticed, managing version does not show on all types of docs I tried opening on Google Sheets. Right, so if you remember, right here on the bottom, not for Google Docs, Sheets, etc. It's not for Google programs. It's for PDFs, Excel spreadsheets, photo files, Word documents, things that are separate from Google. The Google versions of the products right now don't directly support versioning this way.
Thank you.
I'm very appreciative for all of you that are asking questions because I want to make sure, I'm hopeful that you're clear. Now, the other thing you can do, you can actually click on any one of these versions and you can download them. So let's say you said to yourself, gee, what was the one that I started with? What was there? What was that one like? Since your PC and your Mac don't do versioning, you may not have the text or the images or the content from a few weeks ago, a few days ago. You want to see that one. So you can click on that one in the same managed version screen. Instead of upload, you'll highlight one of these and you'll click the 3 dots right next to it. I don't know why computers like 3 dots. And you'll be able to download it with this menu. Or you'll say, you know what, that one was just wrong. I'll just delete that one altogether. That old one isn't needed at all. So you can manage the versions a little bit. So again, what you'll do is you'll go to manage versions like you did before. And instead of new version, you'll click on the 3 dots. There's the red arrow pointing, and this little pop-up menu will be there. And you could download one of the old versions or the current one. Or you can flag this one to keep forever. That prevents you from deleting it. Or you can delete it because it's just old and not needed anymore, and you can save the space. So versions of the files do count towards your free 15 gigabytes of space. So if they're big files, you may want to get rid of some of the old versions, save space. Okay. Eleanor, you're unmuted. Do you have another question coming in?
No.
Okay. I'm just making sure. Okay, very good. So I don't mind that you were not muted, but I just want to make sure I'm not missing an opportunity to answer a question. Let's say you want to search for a file. Let's say you know you've got a file. It's got the word consultant in the file name, but you don't remember which folder it's in. You've been using Google Drive for a while, a few weeks, few months. You've got a number of folders and folders within folders, and you just forgot where it is. So in this top little window, just like a Google search on a Google browser, what you can do is you put the word or one of the words or multiple words that you're looking for. And so I type the word consultant, hit the enter, and all my files and folders that have the word consultant show up right below me. Notice it says search results. It doesn't say that it's my drive. Okay, my drive. If you want to go back to my drive on the left side, you can click the words there, my drive. But now you're in your search results. Not too dissimilar from the way Windows works as well in Windows Explorer. And then you could see the file. And you'll see there are a number of files. But what you don't know is, where is this file? So what you do is you click on the file, you right click, and you press the menu item. This is one of the new ones that they added, show file location. So it will tell you right away where the file is located. And it'll give you the whole string, my documents, my drive, documents, MS PowerPoint, how to work. This you can make this wider. You can click here and open the whole thing up. So again, you did a search for some file name or part of a file name. You can try that now if you want, but if you don't have a lot of files, everything, I guess, is in your My Drive. But right at the top, you have a search for file, you search. All of them that meet that criteria will show up. And then you pick the file of interest, you right-click on it, and the menu item will pop up. And you pick the menu item, show file location. and it will show right in the My Drive the hierarchy of where it's located. So this was a feature, this is wonderful that they added not long ago. The other place you can get the information is also from the information on the right side, but this is all screen driven. It's nice and easy. That makes sense? Okay, we'll move along.
When I clicked on it, it actually took me to the document.
Yes, if you click on it, you can open the document.
Okay, got it.
Yep, because you just may say, I just want to, look at it, preview it. If you click on it, it'll open it. Yeah, and you just may want the file. But I'm just showing you another option. Okay, so these are, the main features of Google Drive. And hopefully you're making a little bit of an association to, oh, when I use my Windows PC, I do it in a similar way. Or if I use my Apple PC, my Apple Mac, I do it a similar way. And really, when you think of Google Drive, it works the same as those others, but they just put their buttons in different places and their menu items in different places. But a lot of the features are there. So as we wrap up, you can store any kind of file in Google Drive. Microsoft Word, Excel, PowerPoint, the Google Docs, the Google Sheets and slides, photos, video, you can show them there. You can access them anywhere because all you need is a computer or a phone. You could be at a library computer, a hotel computer. You have to just log into your Google account. And then your own account's My Drive will show up and you can access the file. Now, of course, if you download it, you'll download it to that computer. But if you have a flash drive, you could download it to your flash drive on somebody else's computer if you need the file. And there's the different functions that we saw of organizing and manipulating files and folders. Remember, your My Drive is your main folder. And then you have folders under that. You have files under it. And then the folders under it are in a hierarchy that contain more folders and files, and those folders contain more folders and files. You can upload from your computer up to Google Drive. You can download the ones that are in Google Drive back to your computer. You can delete, you can move them around, you can manage versions. And you can also share. You can share directly with an individual, or you can get the link and post it publicly for people to access it. Right? And what's nice about using links, you may have found sometimes you want to share a big file, but the email systems kind of prevent big attachments from being sent. So if you have a big file on Google Drive, all you have to do is send somebody the link, and later they can download it to their own computer separately. Google Drive doesn't worry about file size, even if Gmail might prevent large files and attachments from being connected to your email. All right. So if you want to download this slide deck, you can do so right from we're not done, there's plenty of time for questions and answers. We'll go back if we need. But if you want to download this slide deck, go to my website. My website is PrincetonTechAdvisors.com. PrincetonTechAdvisors.com. Now, you won't see these red arrows on the web page, but I'm showing you the workshops menu item, and then the link at the bottom, recently offered programs. And then all my programs from this year are available on that page. And actually, all my programs that I've ever done since 2014 are available below that as well. So you can access it. You'll see on some of those, there's an option called Play Presentation Video. So in another day or so, once I get the video, I'll put a link to it and you can get it from there. Or you can go to my YouTube channel, which is also available from the bottom of my website, and you can watch it when I post it there. Now, in order to download it, you'll click on the name of the program, and the file will open. It is in a Google Drive, and you could just view it or download it right from the Google Drive. Any other questions?
Are we going to
Anything-
talk about editing a document?
Excuse me?
Are we going to talk about editing a document in Google Drive?
We already did. You cannot edit a document in Google Drive unless it's a Google Doc or a Google Sheet.
Okay,
So if you have a Word, you're an Apple person, if you have Pages or any other document that is not a Google Sheet or any of the other Google products, you cannot edit it in Google Drive.
okay,
In that case, what you would need to do is have a version on your own computer, either one that you're constantly maintaining, or if you don't have a current version, what you can do is you could go to the Google Drive and download the file.
okay,
Put it on your computer, edit it, and then upload it. Oops.
okay,
There's a new file or as a version.
okay,
And I think if it's really editing the same file, do it as a version. Put it back up into a version of itself.
okay,
But if you do have a Google Sheet or a Google Doc, Google Slides, any of those Google ones, yeah, this is the where you would access it and edit it right there. But you don't have the ability to have versions. You'd have to make a copy, physically make a copy, so it's a separate file.
okay.
Yep. Yeah, good question. Any other questions? Or are you feeling like a little bit like Thanksgiving? You're full and you need to be excused. I certainly don't want this to be overwhelming. I know it's a lot for some people, which is why I created this slide deck as almost like a user guide to go through. So at the very least, you can download. It is about 50 pages, so you may not want to print the whole thing out, but you certainly can use it as a user guide. Typically, when I give presentations, I don't have user guide format. It's more like a bullet point, and I talk to it. But I thought because this is a software product, an app, this sort of format might be a little bit more conducive for learning.
I have a question.
Sure.
If someone shares a document with you, do you have to give permission before it appears in your docs?
If you accept the document, it will show up in this section, shared with me.
But you have to accept it each and every document. If you have an organization that's shared with you before, does that permission stay or it has to be given each time?
Well, the person who's sharing the document is managing that. So they're the ones who would revoke the permission. For instance, let's say you work for an organization and then you left the organization, you retired, moved to another company. What they'll do is they'll revoke your permission and it won't be available. You don't revoke the permission. But if you're sharing with someone else, you're managing the permission.
Because occasionally I've noticed documents will appear from places I'm not familiar with, and they'll appear in my docs. Example, a restaurant you go to look at online and you look at their menu, and then their menu appears in my docs.
What's my docs? Because that's not what we talked about here.
Well, I'm sorry, my drive. I'm just misspoke, sorry.
I'm not aware that's the way it works, unless you clicked share with me. So here I clicked share with me, and there are these files that I have that are shared with me. But I don't believe these show up in my drive. Let's see if I can find one. So this was April 12th. Visualize. Okay, so I know what that document is. So hearing your description, it's not clear to me how that's occurring.
It's not a unique circumstance. It's happened to me several times, and that caused some of my confusion about the whole process.
Unless I see it happening, it's not clear to me. I don't understand why if someone is sharing a document, so this is someone who gave me another meeting I'm in a presentation, and it was shared with me. And so I'm in my Google account, and I've got several Google accounts, but I'm in my personal Google account. The file is shared with me, which is showing up here. And that's fine that I can see it and download it, but I don't see that in my drive. Now, what you're describing says somebody shared a file with you and it's showing up in your My Drive. And I'm not understanding why that's happening. But if you say, yeah, but if you're saying it's here, that makes sense to me. So I'm sorry, I'm just not clear, Vera, on how it's happening to you, or if something else is going on that's just not clear.
Okay, all right, thank you.
Sorry about that. Yep. And you can see this, let's see, here's the file. So you'll download this later if you like. This is the document that you'll download. Yep. Any other thoughts? Any other questions?
I have a question.
Sure.
Yeah, how do I save changes in Google Docs? I do not see the save button there.
Anytime you make a change, it's saved automatically.
Thank you.
Yeah, it's only one version of the file. And if you make a change, it saves automatically. You do not actively save. You could download the file from Google Docs to your computer, but you don't have to resave it each time in Google Drive.
Okay, thank you.
Yep. And that's true with Google Sheets and Google Slides, the other Google programs.
Dave, what else do you teach?
Let's see, I teach email marketing, some social media classes, some things for job seekers. Actually, if you go to my website, it'll tell you right away.
Okay.
So I'm gonna quickly go to my website. So you go to the workshops tab. This is that workshops tab, available presentations. This is not my schedule, but this is the different classes I teach. So there's some business-oriented ones. I do a lot for helping people who are in job search.
Mm-hmm.
Google Drive, it's typically a hands-on class. I like to teach in person. If you had a question, I can come around and look at your screen. Yep.
Okay.
My workshop schedule is here too, if you're interested. So here's the one this evening. Next week, I'm doing one at the Princeton Public Library, social media for authors, a couple of job seeker ones I got lined up. Yeah.
Okay.
Something
Very sweet. Thanks for asking.
something comes to mind from that earlier question. If you've got docs in Docs, how do you transfer them to My Drive?
Oh, well, okay. So let's see. Let's copy. I don't have, I thought I did. It looks like I don't have a move. How do you move? You're absolutely right. My apologies. So the way you would do that is basically the same way as a copy. So you find the file that you're interested in and you right click on it. So the menu option comes up and you have move to. And let's go to a live version of that. Okay, move to. So you find the folder, the file you want, click move to, and now all your folders and subfolders become available. And you click on one. And we're in My Drive. Let's say I want to put it in go to meeting. And if I click on that, it says folder is empty, that's fine. Oops, let's open this up. Okay. So you click on it and then press the move button. And it will move it from the location it is in now to the folder you want to move it to. And that now tells me I need to create 2 or 3 new slides for this presentation, which means there'll be a new version in a couple of days. So you find the file you want, you right click on it to open up the menu, you press the move menu item, and then you pick the folder that you want. You can also create a new folder right here. So if you say, oh, I want a new folder, and it's called new documents, and it'll place it alphabetically between my class folder and NJ job seekers, and then you can move it there.
And it's no longer in the docs location.
That's right, because you're moving it. If you want to copy from the docs and put another copy in the New Jersey job seekers folder, you would use the copy function, which we did show you on the slides. The move is like cut and paste. Take it out from one place, put it someplace else. Yep.
Could you explain the computers label under my drive?
The computer label, oh yeah. If you had a network of other computers, that would be available to you here. So if you had other devices, other compute, that would be available here. I don't think I'm networked. I got my desktop. Yeah, and then this is the chunks. So this is really my computer. So I did not set it up, but if it was the case that my wife's computer and I were networked so we can share files directly over the internet, the computer files that she's shared with me would be available here. And that's a fairly new feature. That's not in the document that I've shown you here. That's one they added a while ago. Yeah.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Yep. Anything else? Now, I did send you an email that had the the connection information. So obviously that worked. So that has my contact information. And so if a question comes up, later, another day or so, certainly you're welcome to reach out to me. My contact information is here also, if this is helpful to you. Let's see, is there another? Oh, computer syncing. Okay. Let's talk about computer syncing. We're not going to do it together here. Let's see. Okay, so what is computer syncing? Computer syncing makes an immediate copy from the source location, let's say your Google Drive, in the destination location, and that's, let's say, your desktop computer. It's different than a backup. A backup is triggered by something. A backup is triggered by time or the click of a mouse. So what do I mean triggered? At 2 o'clock in the morning, copy my documents up to this place. Do it then, but don't do it in real-time syncing. Syncing means the moment you make a change to the file, it will get copied someplace else. And so that's what syncing is for. And so I like to use that. It's not for backup purposes, backup and recovery. It's really for sharing documents across devices. And so what you can do, you can go into Google. Let's see, do a Google search on Google Drive Sync. And let's see if it's in here. Individuals, okay. There it is, backup and sync. Good. And you'll want to download backup and sync. It's a little Google program that's that gets installed and running on your computer, and it's always running. What it will do is it will create a new folder on your computer called Google Drive. And the Google Drive folder has a My Drive, just like your Google Drive has a My Drive. And this My Drive on your computer will have all the same folders and files as the My Drive on your Google Drive function in the browser. Once you set it up and start it running, it may take several minutes or even a couple of hours, depending how much space that you have, to get the folders and the data into your My Drive on your computer. Why is this handy? In this case, I use it because I have a laptop computer right here that I take with me when I visit a client. I have my desktop and I have my phone. They all have a backup and sync running. If I go to my client and work on client files on my laptop and make changes, it'll go up to my Google Drive because the backup sync is working. And because my desktop has the backup sync working, it'll send the data also down to my desktop. And then since my phone it's working, it'll make it available there as well. So it allows me to synchronize my Google Drive data in the same account across devices. Is that clear, Henry?
Yes, thank you again.
Yep, good, you're welcome. I find that very helpful, but it's not truly a backup. A backup is used like, what if I deleted a file on my computer and I want to go to the data backup and recover it? In backup and sync, if you delete a file on your computer, it will delete it in Google Drive because it's designed to be synced. If you have a backup program, it will keep versions of the program each time it was created and deleted, so you can get the backup that way. So it's a little bit different function. Yeah, good question. So yeah, you can search for that and install it on your own. It'll walk you through the process. Okay, anything else? Any other questions come to mind? Okay, silence is deafening. All right. Well, if not, thank you very much. I appreciate the opportunity to present this to you. Glad you were able to join us this evening. You have my contact information, so if a question comes up at some point in the future, feel free to reach out to me. I'll be happy to help you further if I can that way. And but if not, simply say have a good evening and stay well. Appreciate you joining us.